We develop an augmented reality application for e-commerce business. Our application will help the user to buy the product while investigating the product in real environment. Our application will provide the best experience of interior designing and provide next level shopping while using augmented reality. Objective. Main objectives of our is to design an e-commerce application with augmented reality to provide better shopping experience where user can visualize product in real physical space before making an actual purchase. Features of our application are setup account, view augmented reality model list, view order, ground detection. This is work breakdown structure for the task of our application. There are six major tasks of product visual assistant. These tasks are then further divided into subtasks. Now, since the feature and major tasks or phases of our application are identified, we can begin calculating cost using detailed COCOMO model and function point analysis. For detailed COCOMO model, we have to find LOC of every features identified above, EAF effort estimation, development estimation, effort estimation for each phase, and finally development for each phase. The value of these are calculated according to the formula and are present on the screen. Now coming to the second part, which is function point. Calculation for function point is much easier and very simple. The main formula to find out function point is AFP is equal to UFP multiplied by CAF. We need to calculate UFP and CAF separately and then multiply. First we have to calculate UFP. To find UFP we need to determine value of this way we will get a UFP. We have to calculate the value of CAF. It can be calculated with its multiplication. These value will be give us our AFP. For effort is in month and person. Effort of a person in 1 month is 18. Project would be completed in 7 months. Cost of person per month $500. Person required for project 2. Cost requirement $7,000.
In previous milestones, we identified our system's feature and the work breakdown structure. That is going to be taken as input for this milestone. The project is going to take up to 2 days to start, and after that the preparations are going to be carried out, and that is going to take up to a month, and it is going to depend upon activity A. After preparation is done, planning is take place, and it's going to take up to 31 days. Of course, it's like the activity B. Activity C is going to depend upon activity B, its predecessors. Once planning is done, development is going to be started, and it's going to take 61 days. It's going to depend upon planning. Then the release is going to be prepared, and it's going to take 26 days. It's going to depend upon development. After release has been prepared, it will be deployed in 26 days, and it's going to depend upon development and release. After the project is deployed, it will be tracked and maintained, and it's going to take 21 days to do that. Its predecessor will be activity F, which is deployment. Of course, when the free project is going to finish, it is going to depend upon deployment and track and maintained. Once it's done, the project is going to be closed. Performing AON analyzes the free float and the total float of all activities are 0. According to the calculations, the duration of our project is 197 days. The critical path is 1 in our project, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, GH. When project starts, it is bound to face certain uncertainties which ultimately lead to failures, such as failing to develop a feature, failing to deliver a deliverable, being short in time, being short with budget, etc. So, the purpose of the risk management is to eliminate these failures through proper dedication of effort and time in risk management. The top three risks that we might face in our applications are surface detection, meaning our application uses cluster of features to point the surface, like tabletop, plane, or flat surface. The surface without texture, like the white wall, may not be detected under a dark light. So this might cause a risk in our feature. And the second one is image target. Like barcodes and QR, it has certain white and black lines. But in image target, we have to compare it with the picture that is in the database. So it will need a proper suitable light and a good phone camera through which it can be detected. Otherwise, it will be a failure. Third one is the lightning constraint. Lightning is very important in our application. Previous two risks are also connected with the lightning. So, in our third risk, the 3D model has to be under suitable light and proper light. If there is low light, then our application will not be able to locate the cluster of feature point, since our application uses the cluster of feature points to detect surfaces, and that is going to become a problem. As there are various risk management approaches, the one we used is loss prevention and reduction approach, in which instead of focusing on eliminating all the risks completely, we focus instead on minimizing the risks and containing them. To identify a risk, we used brainstorming, which encouraged every participant with a free and open approach to come forward and throw out their idea. Of course, beside that, we also used other techniques, which were expert interviews, risk list, in which we create a list of possible risks, and cause and effect diagram was used, risk assessment meetings, historical review of similar projects, risk qualification and prioritizing, meaning which risk holds more important. To do that, impact factor was recorded in the list in front of the respective risk using project management online tool. This process allowed the project manager to prioritize the risk based upon the effect they may have on the project. The project manager utilized a probability impact matrix to facilitate the team in moving each risk to the appropriate place on the chart or the list. Once the risk was assigned a probability and an impact factor, it was placed in the prospective position on the chart or the list. The recorder captured the finished product, and the project manager moved the process to the next step, which is risk mitigation or avoidance planning. Risk mitigation and avoidance. As more and more risks are identified, they will be qualified and they will be recorded and reported to the project manager. They will be recorded in the project management tool to ensure they are monitored at the appropriate time, they are dealt with, or to be reviewed later, whatever the response the team is going to take on the risk. The risk for this project will be managed and controlled within the constraint of time, scope, and cost, which in no circumstances will be compromised except for one of them, which is cost. All identified risks will be evaluated in order to determine how they affect this triple constraint. Project constraints should be flexible in case if situation become out of hand. Necessary changes may be allowed to one of the constraints to deliver the project successfully if necessary. Like extra budget should be considered. So if the time constraint becomes too tight, in this case, increasing in the resources might trim down the time required to develop the project or the deliverable. However, in no case, as mentioned earlier, shall the time and scope be compromised. Risk registry. The risk register for this project is a list. A list was created using a project management tool. In this list, all the potential risks which we can encounter during the project were listed, along with their description, impact, responses, ownership, and notes. Of course, in ownership, the name of the risk handler will be mentioned, and this list was created from the beginning by the members of the project through thorough discussion. In result, all the columns of risk list, which were description, impact, responses, ownership, and notes, were filled, and the proper strategies were devised to solve the problem encountered with the risk as mentioned in the list. So later, based on the list of risks, they can be tracked. The status of project can be seen using the online project manager. Observing the project status, the risk can be handled in appropriate time, and then the responses which is received by the owners of risk handlers, the list was updated accordingly. This is how the risk management plan was handled through registry.